What's up, guys? I'm here with a client and now a great friend of mine, James. We are gonna do just a little interview to touch base on what his experience was like in the program and just kind of fill you guys in, anyone who's listening or interested in the program that maybe wants to get an inside look. And so as I as I introduce you, I want to address the elephant in the room first. James, are you a paid actor or did we rehearse this beforehand?
Uh, to myself with my cat. So just so that way I can make sure I sound interesting, but my cat wasn't having it. But no, nothing like that.
Okay, good, good. But on a serious note, so James, how did you first come across me on Instagram to even get in touch?
Honestly, just kind of I was always kind of scrolling through um different like fitness programs, and I guess the algorithm kind of picked that up. And so I would get sent like, oh, if you're this, and this, like I've got to work out for you. It's like, no, I'm not a 50-year-old businessman who's like working a high-end job. No, I'm not
Trying to
a
lose weight? Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not a this person, I'm not a that person. Then eventually you came up and it was like, oh, if you're a skinny dude and you're trying to gain muscle and you've been having a hard time, I'm like, that's me. Oh my gosh. And I was still like tentative about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this and stuff like that. But but it wasn't the first time you had come across my feed. You had come across my feed like another time. I was like, damn it, this guy again. All right, fine, I'll hit him up. Let's see what's going on. Then and
Yeah.
then and then history is history, like eventually we kind of like meshed really well, and like we vibed and was like, yeah, we can get this program going for you. We can probably like I think you'd be a good fit because I like that part where it's like you're not just gonna take me on just because I want to be taken on. It's one of the things was like if you had to be sure that I was gonna put in the work too, where it's not like, oh yeah, you're not motivated. That's okay. We'll take your money anyways, kind of a thing. Which is what I was always worried about, like
Sure.
because I get the sense of that from like some things, but I didn't get that sense from this.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that means a lot. And that's the first time I've heard that from you, so that's cool to hear that in front of the audience as well.
Yeah,
So to zoom back to the very beginning, so yeah, we you saw me on Instagram, we chatted in the DMs, obviously jumped on a call to see if it was a good fit. You ended up joining. But at that point in time, what and I already know this, but for the people watching, what was your weight? How tall are you and how old were you when you started?
I was 34. I weighed it was like 155 that my weight was at the time. And I'm like 5'11". So
Okay.
even though I was like pretty tall, but still that weight, I just didn't like how thin I looked. I always make the same joke where I just had those SpongeBob legs with a big old thigh gap and stuff like that. And I was just like, I got to change this. Um, but I was like, as I used to weigh a lot less before. Like I used to weigh like 130, and I try to work out a little bit, gain a little muscle. Ended up just getting just enough fat, just kind of like give me a little bit of bulk. But I was like, I couldn't. I had a hard time progressing or finding the motivation to.
Yeah. And what was your shirt size, just out of curiosity, when you started?
Oh, I was definitely a small.
Small.
Yeah, small. Uh,
Gotcha.
I was definitely a small. I could maybe fit mediums pretty okay. But nowadays, like I had to throw away a good amount of my small shirts because I could not squeeze into those suckers. Now I'm a pretty good solid medium, and even then, even like a medium workout shirt that my mom had got me, that one's starting to feel a little tight when I start to get the pump from the workouts, and so it's like I may have to go to a large eventually, like sooner than I thought, which is nice.
Yeah. When you have a pump, it becomes a belly shirt.
Yeah, 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 exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good, man. So then being a part of the program, so obviously, this was an online deal, and was there any initial skepticism as far as like, how could this guy help me even though we're states apart and thousands of miles away? Like, was there any skepticism about whether that would actually work?
Oh, huge amounts of skepticism. It's just one of the things where it's like, well, It's not going to be in person, so it's not going to be one of those things where it's like they can fix the things right away or be or observe me, making sure I'm doing the right workouts. Or and my biggest concern was probably the accountability, where it's like you're not going to have someone who expects you to meet you at a place and time to like do the workouts, making sure you're doing things. Like, will I be able to rely on the accountability to make sure that my workouts are being done, making sure that like they're actually trying to cater everything to like my needs, because it's like it's just going to be over the internet, over the Zoom. But that ended up being alleviated because even there's even times where maybe I was doing the workouts, but I didn't schedule a meetup, or I was doing the workouts and I didn't put anything into the app. But then you guys would reach up like, hey, I noticed that you haven't been putting stuff in the app, or I noticed that you haven't been scheduling a meeting with us. What's going on? Let's make sure we get you scheduled, make sure you're putting in your stuff, make sure you're putting in your macros and stuff like that. Whereas it's one of those things where it's like, oh, so they're actually still trying, they're tracking my progress still, even if I'm not in person or if I'm not like scheduling a meet to like go over my results or my workouts and stuff like that. They're still making sure that I'm trying to follow the program and not just letting it fall to the wayside, because it's like there's so much you guys can do where it's like making sure it's like, hey, don't forget to like schedule this and that with us. But at the same time, if I just kept laying it lay by the wayside, that's on me and not on you guys. So I not sure if I ever told you this, but I really appreciate you guys always trying to reach out, making sure I'm like on top of my game.
Good. Yeah. No, that's good to hear, man. And I'm definitely glad that worked out for you. And um, one thing I forgot to ask earlier too, just because I want to relate with some of the guys on here that have maybe been in the position that you were in, um, when starting out. There were some things that you told me, like I know a lot of us can relate to, like grandma telling us we need to eat a hamburger type stuff. Like you
Oh
look like
yeah,
you in the wind. There was one I think you had said at one point or another, um, comments that were said to you before you started bulking up that had initially fueled your motivation to begin. What were
yeah.
those comments that would be said to you?
Actually, there's a specific scenario that kind of really hit home where at one of my jobs, like usually I had a pretty good relationship with because I was working human resources. I had a pretty good relationship like everybody in my office and stuff like that. Like during one Halloween, I came into the office and there was a skeleton in my chair with my name badge on it and stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh, look, James, it's you, ha ha ha, because you're both so skinny and yada yada yada. And I was like, oh yeah, that's funny. But on the inside, I didn't think it was funny. It just kind of made that really harsh realization. I was like, I really am just like really so thin, and like it's just like, but it's like one of those socially acceptable things, like, oh, it's okay to be skinny, at least you're not fat. But like even those of us who are really skinny who don't want to be skinny, we still kind of go through that body dysmorphia of like, I don't want to be this. And so that was one of the catalysts where it's like, I don't want to be the skinny guy forever. I don't want to be the skeleton man forever, you know?
Yeah, no, I can imagine that definitely lit a fire in you to begin changing, and
Yeah.
it's continued all the way up till today. I mean, it's been about a year. Well, it's probably been like 14, 15 months now since you
Yeah.
initially joined our 6 month program, and we've kind of just kept in touch. You've stayed obviously in the group program and continued with us that way.
Yeah.
Um, but you've had some amazing progress. So let's zoom forward. So you went through the program. Um, you started off with a low appetite. You were 155, 5'11". How quickly did the weight start packing on, and how did your appetite start developing as you saw that progress?
The appetite was definitely a little rough just because I had to get my stomach used to it. Water was my best friend because it's just one of those things like, oh, I can't eat it. Let me just try to wash it down just to get that food in my stomach. But nowadays it's like I'll eat my goals and I'll be like, man, I'm so hungry. And I'll like eat a little something here or there additional. It's like, oh, I probably shouldn't be eating too much. But my appetite, that was probably the hardest part, is just making sure that my stomach was on par with like the macros I was trying to obtain. Um
Yeah.
the Once my appetite started catching up after the first like 2 or 3 months, that's when my weight really kind of started to shot up. Like after probably, I think it was like 4 months, like I gained technically like 20 pounds with a mix of in my bulk of like mix and fat and muscle. Um, which was huge because like from this point forward, I'm basically at the heaviest I've ever been, and it's not just like weight gain through like fat. It's like a mixture of muscle too, and so that's just one of the things that I was kind of grateful for, is that the other part of the weight gain, the fat is going to fuel the muscle gain as well. So I was like this is awesome for me because like I've always been the skinny 150 130 pound guy, and now I'm like 170 180, and
Yeah,
yeah, and so I'm feeling confident about that.
that's amazing. And what is your most recent weigh-in?
uh I think my most recent weigh-in was like 173, and that was like, and I'm like on like a very lean bulk right now.
Yep,
My heaviest weigh-in like on a severe bulk was like 180, like
yep,
181. But like
yep.
recently, I'm like 173. I've been slowly, very gradually within the past couple of weeks, just kind of just gaining a little bit of weight like every week. And I know as long as I'm making that progress of gaining that little bit of weight every week, I'll eventually reach my goal for the year being like 190.
Right. Yeah, we had the luxury of doing some cut and bulk cycles because you bulked up so quickly, and then we're like, okay, let's trim down and then come back up. And obviously, I'll put on the screen so everyone can see the before and after. But I mean, it's insane,
Yeah.
like the difference, and you can tell that it's been lean, and your body fat percentage has gone down at the
Yeah.
same time as gaining weight, which indicates lean muscle, right?
Yeah.
Incredible, dude. Um, so how would you say, like, from where you were to where you're at now, how did that impact your confidence from going from the Halloween prank to nowadays? I think you mentioned earlier at some point that people had made some comments now, like positive
Yeah.
comments,
Yeah.
regarding your weight.
Yeah, I mean it's nice because like I mean it was kind of tough because even after like the first like 7 8 months I still had that body dysmorphia. It's like, oh, I'm kind of skinny, kind of skinny. But at the same time I started getting compliments where it's like either family or friends I haven't seen for a while. I went to a cousin's baby shower, and then my mom had told me, was like, some of your aunts came up to me and was like, oh, when did James get so much muscle? Oh my gosh, look at him, he looks so good. I'm just like, they did? Oh, what? I saw some friends I haven't seen for a while. I was like, oh my gosh, look at you, muscle man. Look at you, you're a man now. I'm like, I am. And so it's just one of those things where it's like they're telling me that I look good. And so it started making me believe that I actually did look good, because that external factor of those comments about me being too skinny and eating a sandwich, this and that, be turned into, it's like, look at you, you look beefy, you look muscular, you look good. And so that made me started to feel good. And so it kind of translated my own opinion about myself, that when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm looking good today. Look at those rips or whatever. And instead of being like, oh, I don't like my knees or whatever, I can see my bones and stuff like that. And it's been really huge that it's really fueled my motivation to stay in the gym, especially, and having the
Yeah,
goals of like gaining more weight. And so it's like I'm only gonna keep going up from here.
it's amazing. Yeah, you don't have to avert your eyes from the mirror when you
Yeah.
get out the shower
Yeah,
now. And
yeah, yeah,
that's the thing, man, about body dysmorphia is it's super real, and people don't recognize, like, from our perspective, being the ones that are bulking up, when we are going up in weight, but it's happening over a period of time, we don't notice it as much because we have so much visual input over an extended period of time that we're not going to notice it. But other people that, even if they go just a month without seeing us and we've gained 5 pounds, they'll notice it even in the face, or,
oh,
the tightness of shirt sleeves, whatever it is, like, and it's
yeah,
truly a crazy feeling to have people recognizing the gains before we even recognize them. And that's
yeah,
really where the true benefit of working out comes in, is that you get this goal-oriented progress and you start to realize that when you look in the mirror, there's a different person standing in front of you. And when you look at the scale, the numbers are completely different.
yeah,
Then you get this motivation like never before, like, hey, this thing that I once thought was completely impossible for me, I've done it now. And it
yeah,
only took 6 months, 8 months, like however long for each person. I mean, you got up to the 170s, I think, within the 6 months, and then we
Yeah.
started to look at cutting and bulking, and it's just like it's amazing, and you've kept up to it to this day. We achieved that self-sufficiency to where now you can go without coming to group calls, and you're still in your routine, and we can check back up 3 months later, and you're still going at it without having, me hovering over you to make
Yeah,
sure that you're doing your thing.
yeah.
So good on you, bro. Any other, I guess, comments or points to the viewer about your experience in the program? Any encouragement for people about, if they're struggling to make gains in their own life, in their own gym routine?
I feel like it's so easy. It's so easy to put yourself down. It's so easy to give up. It's so easy to say this is not for me, but it's also a lot easier when you get to that point because you're so happy with it, you want to do it. People don't know that it's it's gonna be hard, 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 and then it'll eventually just be easy because it's become so routine. It's because it's something that you want so badly that it's no longer it doesn't feel so much like a chore anymore. It does feel like you're working on growth and not working the weights or working the food. It's working on yourself, which is what you wanted to do in the first place. That's why you went. So it will be hard first starting off, but it gets easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. That's great, man. Thank you so much, James, for your
Yeah.
time. And for anyone watching that might be interested in just having a quick chat with me, trying to put together a good blueprint, whatever it is, um, whether or not we end up working together, I'd love to chat with you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop a link in the description to where you can book a call with me. It's free. Worst case scenario, you get a good blueprint. Best case scenario, you join the program and you get to see James and I every week on the group call and work with us one on one, have all your meal plans and nutrition, have me texting you intermittently to make sure that you're keeping on top of things, plus a whole slew of other things. So if that's you, just check the link below. Go ahead and book in, and I look forward to chatting with you. See you guys.